All right. Thank y'all so much for checking out this video. This is the Success Estate Podcast. I am your host, Mike Johnson. This is season 3, episode number 1. So I really appreciate everybody that has been hanging with me through the first 2 seasons. First season, there was a big gap. All that have returned for the second season. I greatly appreciate you. If you're watching and you found this to be good content, I would appreciate if you would like, share, anything you could do that will help boost the visibility of the show. I think we're going to have a great and interesting conversation today. Today, I have with me none other than Miss Beth Elbert. Thank you so much for being on the show.
First of all, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Sure.
I do.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. I am now with Fidelity Home Warranty. I've been with them since July of 2021.
Okay.
Previously, I wore a hat for 32 years in the title industry.
Okay.
I was with escrow and then with marketing also.
So you've been in real estate industry for a long time.
For a long, long time. Absolutely. 1988.
How'd you get started?
Crazy question. I'm glad you asked that. When I tell you, you'll like, oh my gosh. So I was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I actually have a degree in nursing. But I was in Tyler.
Okay, starting off with the crazy. Okay.
I know, and I was a nurse in Tyler, and then got married and moved to the Dallas area.
Sure, okay.
And so I didn't work for a couple of years, stayed home with kids, and then I decided to get back in to work, to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a friend of mine that was a headhunter, and she said, send me your resume, and I'll see what I can do. So on that resume, she asked me to put some marketing experience. Now, the only marketing experience that I had, I worked at Dillard's as one of those fragrance models.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I did that, and that was considered marketing for her. And so she reached out to a title company that was looking for a marketing person, and I interviewed, and I got the job. I know, it's crazy, but I wanted to get back. I wanted to do escrow instead of marketing.
Sure.
Because it was really difficult for me to sell something I didn't understand. I didn't know.
I understand.
So I think I was in it maybe 3 months, and I said I would rather get into the escrow. So I got into there, and they say when you're in the title industry or in this industry, once you get in, it's like the mafia. You can't get out. You know.
They wrap you up, don't
sure
let you
do.
out of there.
And, yeah, they sure do, and I've enjoyed it.
So, how long were you in marketing, and how has that changed from the marketing we see? Can you talk about your marketing beginnings?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, when I first started, I was marketing realtors, but I had no idea what, like they'd ask me, oh, I want you to be my closer. And I would go to my manager, they want me to close her. And they were like, you can't close them. You have no idea what you're doing. So I felt like.
But they want me.
I didn't understand it until I got into it. Yeah. And then I realized, there's a lot more to it than that. And so I did escrow for about a little over 25 years.
Sure.
And then I moved back to the East Texas area about 10 years ago, and I got into marketing. Gotcha. I decided I was done with escrow, but I really still wanted to stay in the title industry. Sure. So I did that for about 10 years. And then about a year and a half ago, July of 2021, a good friend of mine who, she still does, work for Fidelity, she came to me and said, hey, I'm moving up, I'm getting a promotion, do you want my job? And I thought, well, maybe.
Susan?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Susan.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah,
and so
awesome.
She is my boss and a great friend and a great boss. And, I worked with her a lot. We sponsored a lot of events together. We worked through the tree pack stuff and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew kind of what she did. And, of course, with the background of my title,
Sure.
I thought I knew a lot about home warranties. It's still a big learning curve with me. Every day I learn something. But that's with real estate and escrow. That's what you do. Nothing is ever the same.
I agree.
Every deal, every homeowner's got a new problem or something.
Sure.
So I learned something new.
I was just thinking about that as you were talking about your beginnings, because you get into one area of real estate, and it just kind of blossoms into a lot of different avenues that you could see and pursue. I know marketing, and even if you just stayed in what you had been doing for years, marketing, I can imagine how much it would have changed over the past 30 years. I think about, I hate to see it. I know they used to do like the real estate magazine books around here.
Yep.
And I think COVID just completely closed them out. And it's a sad portion of it because I know they have been staples here for years.
I know it.
And it keeps you, this industry keeps you on your toes.
Absolutely.
You 100%. Never stop learning. If you ever stop learning, you're probably going to fail.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
How has the learning curve been for you so far on the home warranty side? And does the title expertise, does that actually trip you up a little bit?
You know, I think with my title experience, it really has helped me with home warranty.
Gotcha.
Because, you know, most of the time, the home warranty companies, you know, send the invoices to title.
Sure.
And you have to have that relationship with title companies.
Right.
You have to kind of know their process. So with new people coming into the home warranty that have no, you know, escrow or no idea what a title company does, I could see that would be a huge learning curve. So it helps me. For instance, if I get a call from a realtor or they text me, they said, you know, this is a title company and I need this, you know, we're going to closing right now. I forgot to order it. I need it right away.
I'm the worst.
Well, it happens all the time. But you know, and they forget to tell me who the closer is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can call the title company, or I may know who the only closer is at that title company, because I have those relationships with most in East Texas. So that's helped me a lot. Yeah. It really has. And knowing that when I also write and teach TREC, continuing education classes.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've been to a couple of them. I've done that for a long, long time.
Right.
So for realtors. And so most of the time I always put in my classes, you know, the importance of looking at the closing disclosures, looking at the HUDs, making sure everything's on there. And now especially the home warranties, you know, because those are often missed. Mm-hmm. And when they're missed, it causes a big problem.
It really does. So we've been throwing the word home warranty around a lot. And we probably need to start off with, what is a home warranty?
Home warranty. It's a good question. You know, home warranty is, it was developed in the 70s by two realtors. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. And they saw the importance of protection for themselves, for the buyer, and for their seller. Sure. You know, during the selling process, after it closes, and for the buyer. So so they realized what the importance of needed. So they discovered it, they developed it. So they've been around since the 70s. Okay. And some of the companies, the company that I work for, Fidelity National Home Warranty, they're under the Fidelity branch, and they've been around for about 40 years.
Gotcha.
So, and that's
the Fidelity, like the big
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Fidelity Title, Fidelity Investment.
I always thought that was like all these things were separate. No, I tend to assume that those. That's interesting.
Fortune 500 company.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
So absolutely.
Yeah.
So and that's also too was one of the things when I was going to make that move. It wouldn't be with any other company but Fidelity, because I've been around enough to know some of the other ones and some of the ones that I would prefer to work for.
Right.
Absolutely. But, you know, what it's designed to do is to save the homeowner money.
Sure.
Okay. So the homeowner pays, you know, or usually the seller contributes. Usually the seller pays because it's part of the contract. So the seller contributes and pays that premium, one-time fee for the new homeowner. And it's designed to save the homeowner out-of-pocket expenses. Sure. You know, of course, there are caps and limitations to everything. Every home warranty has them. Our home warranty doesn't have a cap on HVAC systems, which is, in East Texas, it's really important. You know, California, I don't even think it's one of those. It's an option light. You know, which kills me.
You just leave your windows up, you'll be okay.
It is. You know,
not right now though. I think it's like snowing.
Yeah, no, I know it. That, you know, you say that's funny. It's because the other day I called in and my assistant is in California.
Oh wow!
And so I said, she goes, and it was February now. We were calling all these Texas claims for AC. She goes, what is going on with Texas? I get all these AC claims. She goes, it's snowing in California. I said, it's 80 here.
It is, and smoking.
Yes. And she goes, I don't know.
It was so hot in February.
It is. So, but that's kind of one of the things that it is designed to save out-of-pocket expenses. Sure. You know, and perfect example. I got a guy from, you know, a little while ago, and you know, I think a lot of what needs to happen as far as home warranty is the education. There's so many new homeowners. they get it, but they don't understand what it is, and some don't even know they have it.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And then they get it confused with homeowners insurance.
Well,
we can talk about that too, because I get a lot of calls at that.
Sure.
So and there's a huge difference, you know. Or they'll call me and they say, "I think I have my homeowners insurance with you." Mm-hmm. No, but don't. Tell me what the problem is.
Sure.
I might be able to help
you. Yeah.
But I got a call from a guy, and so he had a well pump that went out. And of course, there's limitations on well pumps.
Right.
All home warranties have them.
Of course.
And our limits are the highest in the industry.
Sure.
But we have to put limits because, you know, there's just obviously because we don't pay retail for anything. So he had, and we were paying out, I think, $1,800 or something like that. And he had to pay the rest. Mm-hmm. And he didn't understand. And I explained it to him. But then I said, you know, what if you had to pay the whole amount? He goes, you know, that's a really good point. He said, I didn't pay for the home warranty.
Sure.
And it's saving me $1,800.
Yep.
So, you know,
that's probably over $2,400 total that he saved.
Absolutely.
Or somewhere close to there. When we're talking about saving money, what kind of things does a home warranty save you money on?
Okay. So home warranties cover things that go wrong, have issues with normal wear and tear.
Yeah, that's the big part, big kicker.
The big kicker, normal wear and tear.
Can I tell you how I found that out?
Okay, tell me how you found it out.
So we bought our first house here in Longview.
Okay.
And I was so ecstatic, you know, to be a homeowner.
Absolutely.
And my dad came over to help change something in the tub, like the drain cover, and we broke it. And I said, "Oh, that's okay. I'll call the home warranty." And I called, and the guy came out. He said, "Well, I don't think this is normal wear and tear." I was like, "What in the world does normal wear and tear mean?" So we had to figure out. You know, we paid. Of course, we had to pay the service fee. But then we had to turn around and figure out how to fix that ourselves. You know, we still end up saving more money than we would have had with calling the plumber out just by itself. But yeah, that was my first experience with the home warranties, figuring out the difference between normal wear and tear, which is things that happen over time, I'm assuming, to any house, in comparison to you breaking things.
Right. Or storm.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. For instance, if the AC, if we had, you know, lightning struck it, you know, it's not working because of that.
Sure.
You know, usually when they call in to place a claim, those are questions that are asked.
Sure.
But if they do it online, which is really quick and convenient, those questions aren't asked.
Right.
You know. So knowing that it's normal wear and tear, if it's old, it doesn't, you know, we don't have a cap or any, you know, thing on if your AC unit is 50 years old or whatever. Mm-hmm. As long as it's working, it's in good working condition the day you close.
Sure.
And then everything is maintained as well. Mm-hmm. For instance, a lot of people don't realize that you have to change the oil in your car. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to maintain that.
Right.
You got the little thing comes on in your car, says you got to do it, and you got to do it. Well, that's the same thing as your home. You should still do that.
Sure.
You should have, you know, maintenance
regular
on. Absolutely. So as long as you have that, you probably won't have as many issues either. So, and home warranties won't cover it if you haven't been maintained.
If you've just been neglecting it.
Yes.
Gotcha.
If they take the cover off and it's filthy and nothing, I mean, nobody's looked at it for like, you know, maybe 10 years or something like that, then that home warranty's not going to cover that because it's lack of maintenance.
Gotcha.
So as long as everything's doing, you know, you continue maintenance and things like that, then things are covered.
Sure.
You know, for its normal wear and tear.
Gotcha.
But we still get calls, you know, and it sometimes it is confusing. You know, you don't know if it's normal wear and tear or whatever, or they get confused if it's homeowners insurance versus, you know, the home warranty. For instance, let's say your hot water heater. You come home, your hot water is busted. And you come home and there's 20 gallons of water on the floor, and it happens.
Yep, it does.
It happens. And it's Friday night because that's when you come home from work, and it's happened.
The most inconvenient time for you, the time you're ready to kick your feet up and everything, and you got to deal with a water issue.
Yeah, you got issues. Well, we would come out and repair the water heater. And then your homeowner's insurance, if you wanted to turn that in on the coverage as far as the damage on the floor, the carpet, the walls, anything like that, that would be covered under your homeowner's insurance policy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's kind of the difference.
That's probably one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to to home warranty. For one, the normal wear and tear,
Yes.
and covering everything. 'Cause when you hear warranty, I guess you start to just compile every kind of warranty you ever heard.
Yes.
You know, warranty means I can give it back to you and you fix it for me.
Absolutely.
You know, and unfortunately,
Yep.
warranty has its limits
Right.
in this, and then also to the conflating insurance and warranty.
Right.
Are there any other misconceptions that you see?
Yeah, I think what's covered. I think a lot of people, figure out what's covered and what's not covered.
Sure.
Our plans are everything's covered.
Sure.
What we show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest misconception or the biggest difference in what homeowners look at, when you're as a realtor, you're supposed to show a homeowner 3 homeowner companies
Right.
per truck.
Right.
And so most of them going to go to the price and go, okay, how much can I get for the, if my seller's giving me $650,
Right.
what's the cheapest one I can get and everything?
Squeeze as much as I can.
Yes. Well, that's really not the best way to look at it, because
Right.
every home warranty company, their coverages are different.
Excuse me.
They really are. The coverages are so important to look at. So don't look at the price. Look at what you're going to get under that coverage. For instance, some of the my competitors are standard coverage. They don't cover the water heater or the HVAC systems. And those are the most
What are you
important
about to
ones.
say? That's the worst.
And seller's coverage is really limited, and we'll talk about that in a minute because
Sure.
that's real important.
Sure.
But that's something that people don't look at as a coverages. Our company has no, again, HVAC system. There's no cap. We have highest coverage on our appliances. There's $5,000 on each.
Sure.
And then we cover most of everything, like the dishwasher and disposal,
Right.
your stove and oven and everything, microwaves under our standard going forward.
Right.
To add on, you would add like a pool and spa. You could add on septic.
Right.
Septic
Right.
is so important in rural areas. And that's an add-on coverage,
Right.
but you really need it. It's $75, and usually what I'll do is if I get an order, if I see the property come in, I'll look and see. I'll go to realtor.com or wherever
See where it is.
see, first I'll look and see how old are the appliances. Because if they're kind of like,
Look through the pictures, see.
yeah, to see, because mostly it'll tell you,
Sure.
what's going to stay in there. It's not the refrigerator, but the stove and the dishwasher and things like that. If it hadn't been updated and the homeowner's not planning to do that, then I may encourage them. You might want to get that covered.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if the seller is leaving the refrigerator.
What in the for the septic system? What you expressed that that's important. Why is the septic system warranty coverage important?
So important. Have you ever had a septic?
I haven't. Well, yeah, no. I never. I lived in the country, but we didn't have a septic. There's a lot of things you can do in the country.
Yeah.
So we didn't. Well, maybe they did have a septic system out there, and I just was never aware of.
Didn't have any issues.
Didn't have any issues.
Yeah, which is good. You don't always, not to scare anybody with septic.
Sure.
You don't always,
Right.
but to have the coverage, because I guess the biggest thing is the stoppage is usually due to a full tank, and the seller is usually not going to have that pumped. And the buyer's not going to ask those questions beforehand.
You get so excited about buying.
And moves in, and now the toilets aren't flushing, the water, the bathtubs aren't running. You can't, washer and dryer, because everything goes into that septic tank. So, and usually it's the stoppage due to being a full tank, which will come out and pump.
Right.
And then there's the pumps that go out. And if the pump goes out,
you got a big problem.
So there's a lot of things, and the coverage is really good.
Sure.
Just to have a peace of mind.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially you as a realtor, what's going to happen when your new homeowner moves in and something goes wrong? Who are they going to call first?
I actually encourage them to call me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
They're going to call you and go, oh my gosh.
Sure.
What do I do? Whatever. And you're going to say to them, well, call your home warranty company.
Let's start there.
Yeah, start there, see if it's covered, and go from there, because it gives them peace of mind.
It does. And I found out that it was super important as far as looking at your coverages and determining, for one, I tell everybody, my wife really helped me in this business, because she told me, hey, you need to create expectations for people up front. If you can give people correct expectations up front, they don't have a big issue with you later on. And I found out after getting home warranty, we had I think one time we had our heater went out. And of course I'm rolling my eyes and I said, well, let me try the home warranty. And because the heater is covered.
Right, it is.
My furnace. So I called and I said, hey, did he come out? Found out that they wouldn't cover it because it wasn't just a valve, it was a smart valve. But it says it clearly. When you look at the plan and you look at what's covered, it says very clearly it does not cover smart valves. The ones that I had at the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't cover smart valve. And so I'm sitting there, man, I mean, it called them out. And now the headache of having to figure out what to do next. Yeah. If I had known ahead of time, I wouldn't have been so frustrated with the home warranty.
Absolutely.
It's not that they did something wrong. It's that I actually didn't educate myself on it. And that's really, it's really hard to do when you're a new homeowner.
Absolutely. Because you've got so
much. Your lender is getting lots of information from you. You having to find documents that you haven't had. And that's normally why we end up late with our home warranty invoice is because they're taking care of all these other things. Hey, we'll do the home warranty later.
Yes.
And
then it's last minute and you go, oh my gosh.
It's last minute.
I know. And it does all the time. Or the seller doesn't agree to it and the buyer wants one, but you forget to order.
Yep.
Of course you've got 30 days after closing to do that, so they don't have a 30-day grace period.
Right.
But it is, the new homeowners going through, especially if they're a brand new homeowner, they're going through so many different things and you've got home inspections, you've got appraisals, you've got
lots of decisions to make.
Lots of decisions. And speaking of inspections, the one thing with what I encourage, because a lot of times what happens is, I'll get a call and they said, well, they came out and it was 2 days, the HVAC system quit working 2 days after they moved in. And we sent somebody else, but it was a denial. Okay, we denied the claim because it was because it was pre-existing. And I think that is probably the biggest hurdle that I have in issues as far as pre-existing issues on the coverages.
So pre-existing meaning that they knew about the issue.
They either knew about it or they may not have known about it, but it was something that was broken or not working before the homeowner moved in.
Got you.
Because our plan starts for the homeowners the day of closing.
Got you.
So pre-existing would be something, for example, when a home inspection does, they go out, but they don't take the cover off of the HVAC system.
Right.
They're going to check the temperatures and things like that, but if it's 25 degrees outside, they can't check the AC unit at that time. So, so the technicians are really, really good about going out and saying, well, this is pre-existing, and home warranty companies do not cover pre-existing issues. It's, usually on the seller side. So it's denied. Well, I had an issue, though, not too long ago that I was able to overturn that because I preach this now because it's a learning curve for me, too. 2 realtors. A couple of days before closing, if you're representing the buyer, get them to call a HVAC company, and it may cost $100, $125.
Right.
But have it checked. Have them come out and check it and take the cover off, look and see, clean it, make sure it's all in good working condition. And so what happened was that realtor had been to one of my classes and had done that, and we sent a technician out. They said it was
excuse me.
That's all right. They said it was pre-existing. But she called me and said, we have a clean bill of health the day or 2 days before closing. I sent that in and it was overturned.
Oh, wow.
So it makes a big difference. You bet.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. But it makes a huge difference because, again, the inspectors are not HVAC specialists, so they're not going to give that a clean bill of health.
Right.
So usually the home inspection, we got a home inspection and everything was working good and 2 weeks ago, but they don't check it like they're supposed to.
Got you. But if the HVAC
specialist comes out, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And sometimes you'll get a break in the cost if it's one of the companies that work for us.
Sure.
if you know that, because you as realtors usually know that the technicians who work for us,
sure,
call them to come out because they know they're going to do that if they have to come back out.
Right.
That
makes a lot of sense. I never thought about that before. And, I know a lot of people, you're trying to save as much money as you can when you're buying a house. There's a lot of money that's coming out of your pocket, but anything that you can do to save yourself a later headache.
Preventative.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if it's, less than $100.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
$100 is a lot of money. Let me
is.
say that I never want to sound like I'm not empathetic to understand that, hey, this is money that you've worked hard for.
Sure.
But if you can,
it'll save a lot of, will. And plus, too, think of it this way. Also, if there is something wrong with it, there's still time to negotiate.
Right.
Those issues with the seller as well, where it's not a hardship on your buyer.
Right. Right.
And then, of course, we have seller's coverage, too. Seller's coverage is important, and I'm not sure why realtors don't. Do you get seller's coverage on your listings?
Hardly.
Okay.
Hardly.
Yeah.
Tell me why. Convince me.
Okay. So seller's coverage is really good. The reason why is because it's only $75 and it's paid at closing.
Gotcha.
All right. It's not paid up front. It's paid at closing. But the seller also has to agree to purchase a home warranty with us for the buyer.
Gotcha.
Okay, because that's obviously that. So the seller, it starts whenever the day you call it in, or give it to me and I order it. It starts that day, and it's good for 180 days, and you can also renew it. All right, till the day it closes. But let's say I get calls sometimes all the time. Like I got one the other day that the stove went out 2 days before closing. We went out and repaired it.
It always does 2 days before closing.
It always does. Something, or go through the walkthrough and the seller's already moved out, but, that it's hot in the house and you realize there is an issue.
Right.
Well, you have seller's coverage. So we're going to go out. Now, there's more limitations, and that's with any home warranty,
sure,
on seller's coverage.
I understand.
And the reason why, if it doesn't close, we don't get paid. So that's why, so there's more limitations.
Sure.
But there's still the coverage, less pocket. A lot of my investors that have rental properties, they have, of course, if you have rental properties, I highly recommend home warranties.
Definitely.
On your rental properties. And then for seller's coverage as well is because that they have not lived in the property. They have tenants, so they're not familiar with the property. And if they're trying to sell it, they want that coverage. That makes a
lot of sense.
Because, and we have, for instance, for our limitations on HVACs, they're $1,500 to replace it.
Gotcha.
Well, that's $1,500 less that investor's got to come up with to replace it. So they're happy with that, Just get it taken care of.
Sure.
But seller's coverage is really good. And also what helps with seller's coverage, let's say, for instance, the seller, it has to be owner-occupied. The seller's living in it. Not for seller's coverage, but for this instance.
Gotcha.
The seller's living in it, and then the seller, there's no issues with HVAC or dishwasher, whatever. No, we have no claims while the seller's during the listing period. Seller moves out, buyer moves in, and during the first 30 days, they may place a claim on a dishwasher or HVAC.
Okay.
The first 30 days, home warranty companies look at it as a pre-existing.
Right.
But if you've had seller's coverage and there's no claims during that time, it won't be flagged as pre-existing.
Oh, wow.
Because we've not had a claim.
Okay.
So that, as long as it's owner occupied.
Right. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so it's carry-on coverage through the process.
And I always preach to sellers, just being able to reassure buyers, because you are asking them to pay you a lot of money for your home.
Yes.
It's the largest purchase of most people's life. If you can give them little things like that, so we do like pre-inspection walkthroughs and things like that to try to tighten up anything so it doesn't come back on the inspection reports. We want those to, the inspection reports to be as short as possible.
Right.
But this could also be something where the buyer could have more confidence moving forward.
Absolutely.
Into the purchase. Hey, the seller has done their best to take care of their portion, and now they may feel better about the money that they spend.
Absolutely.
For the home.
I agree.
So that's a great benefit.
It is, and it protects the seller. It also protects the seller too.
Sure.
Because they know that they haven't placed a claim and haven't had those issues.
Right.
And it protects the listing agent as well.
Definitely.
So yeah, it is. When I don't know if you probably know this, but if in a situation when a realtor is in a lawsuit. It's called in a lawsuit with property. There's three main questions they ask. Did you get a home warranty? Did you get a home inspection? And did you do a walkthrough? And those three things are so important, and it's part of the process because of that.
Sure.
And if you didn't do some of those, your E&O insurance may not cover you.
You're on your own, buddy.
Yeah. So that's why protect yourself.
Yes, at all times. So all the home warranty, for the buyer, seller side, those are all great. How does a person get a home warranty?
Great question. If you're not going through escrow, you can still get one, and realtors get a discount.
Yep, I did. Yeah. I did know that.
So you can, at any time, anyone can order one. If you're not going through escrow, you have a 30-day grace period. So the day you call it in and pay, then you start the 30 days, and after that, it starts the home warranty. And the reason why is for obvious reasons. Is because there hasn't been a home inspection or anything done in that situation where there's nothing to look back on if we had to.
I understand.
So that's why the 30-day grace. Gotcha. Because in certain, I've had calls when somebody said, well, my pool's not working, so I think I need a home warranty.
Now let me.
Now let me get it and figure this out.
Yeah.
That's not how
sorry. The boat. This boat is pulled out of port.
Yes.
I always talk a lot, because I know you said about a year and a half now. So you get in right in the middle of COVID.
Yes.
The COVID time period. It's so funny because, and I kind of want to see how things have changed for you from the time you started until now as things we start to realize a new normal. When I started as an agent, I pretty much work with buyers. I would not do any contract without a home warranty on it. I just feel like, hey, if you can get this, you need it. And then 2020 comes around, and that $600 could lose you. I actually had somebody lose a home because of $200, and I felt so bad for putting the home warranty on it. Now it's still a great ask. It's not. It's nobody's fault necessarily. Right. Well, I guess it's. I put the onus on myself because I didn't recognize that this may be something we can figure out a new way to acquire the home warranty. Right. How have things changed from the time you started to right now? That's
a good question because, when I talk to realtors, especially the ones that got into 2020, they're looking at, I talk to them, how's everything going? I'm not doing anything. Everything's crazy. And it was like January, February.
Right,
That's the normal. You can't really, 2020 and 2021 and 2020, the last 3 years have been not normal.
Yes.
It's not the normal cycle. In the first part
but we've adjusted.
We have.
We've adjusted. Because I just got I just closed one of my first deals with the buyer getting the home warranty paid by the seller.
Right.
And I remember when I was like, maybe I shouldn't, encourage the buyers to ask for this because I don't want them to lose out. Even though this house had been sitting on the market for 60 days, which is another thing. I'm just like, what is this? The house has been sitting on the market. We were able to negotiate closing costs and a home warranty. I have adjusted. I recognize I didn't want to ask for the home warranty up front because I didn't want to lose it, lose the deal.
Right.
But now people are starting to. Do you see more home warranties being ordered now?
Yeah, thank goodness. Or I would probably have to go back in the title industry.
Yep.
In the first part of 2020
we put you down for marketing again.
Yeah. First part of 2020 was really good, but then when it got so crazy with multiple offers, everyone was offering 20 or 30,000 over asking price and no home warranties, which everybody in the industry except for home warranty companies were making a lot of money.
Right.
And it really hurt us a lot. I mean, it really, really did. And not only that, it also hurt the buyers moving into their homes.
Sure.
And they've already paid $30,000 over asking price, and now they don't have a home warranty as well.
Right.
So it really changed. In the last 6 months, they have been writing back in because there's not multiple offers. That went away. That wasn't the norm, and I don't expect it to come back for a very, very long time.
Me neither.
Yeah, the economy cannot withstand something like that, and things. That's why we have high interest rates now.
Sure.
Because they had to do something to get us out of that market. And
we're finally starting to see the ripple effects.
Yes. And we will continue for the next couple of years.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And I hope it's not. I don't think that it'll be as bad as as some people are projecting.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so either. I was in it in 2005, 2006, 2007 when it was crazy.
Yeah.
And the market and they call it the bubble. And some people started calling it that about last year. It's not really where we were. We were in an inflated seller's market.
Right.
And it worked itself out and it flipped to a buyer's market.
Right.
And we're getting back to that because that's where it should be. And I think sellers now are having to adjust to that.
Sure.
And if you didn't sell in 2020, you're going to have to adjust to the new market, And I'm grateful that they're putting those homeowners in it because, again, it's so important. I was at a broker's office the other day, a real estate office, and she was filling out her new E&O insurance, and it had gone up so much for her realtors because they were not because one of the questions she said they asked, I didn't know this, and she told me how many home warranties for the past year percentage were asked in the contracts, and it was very low. Well, she was a higher risk, so her E&O insurance went way up because E&O insurance looks at that as, well, you're a higher risk if you're not getting these things. Yeah. And so,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
Now that's mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. And so, but that's a huge part of it. In the 70s, when Texas Real Estate Commission made the home warranties part of the contract, is because they realized how important it is to put that in there.
Sure.
Protection for everyone in the contract.
Sure.
So I see it, thank goodness, going back. Our numbers are not near, but I don't compare my numbers to last year or the year before. We compare our numbers this year to 2019. Sure. Because that was really the market that you kind of have to compare yourself to.
And because 2019, things were actually on the, excuse me, they were on the up and up. At the last episode, I was talking about that, how 2019, you see the difference between 2018 and 2019. It was on the up and up already, and then COVID hit, and then craziness hits. Yeah. As far as, advice for homeowners that didn't get their home warranties when they purchased it. Say somebody's been living in their home for 3 years, they're watching this, they say, hey, that sounds like a great idea, but I missed that window. Yeah. What would your advice be to them?
Just contact me, reach out to me. I'm happy to send them a brochure. Of course, if the brochure prices are going to be a little higher, for it's called direct to consumer. Okay. But anyone can purchase one. Sure. You don't have to go through escrow. But again, the reason why they're higher is because of you didn't get a home inspection and things like that. Right. So, and there's
a little more risk.
There's a little more risk. And you can always renew every year. Sure. Realtors get discounts. And so those are brochure prices. They stay the same, and we encourage that. Sure. My family, I sell them, and for a year, I'm like, you need one. Well, it wasn't until my sister's home warranty, her hot water heater went out. She goes, can I get one of those? That's not how this works. But she did after that. It's like, okay.
I understand.
Yeah. So it's, it does. It's a cost you pay up front, just like regular premiums. You pay up front, and then it protects you for that year.
Sure. Is the only way to get a home warranty is to pay for the service every year, like yearly, so you have to pay the full amount?
For the first year, you pay the full amount, and then when you renew, you can pay quarterly.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So break that down into a quarterly payment.
Yeah, and I think we talked about, or that department talked about going monthly, but they weren't sure. But I know right now it's offered quarterly when you renew.
Awesome, awesome. Have you had what? Can you give us I'm sure you've had people that were not happy. You talked about one already that you were able to overcome. Do you get a lot of those calls as far as people coming to you?
And usually I'm pulled in when there's an issue, and that's you know.
So you're a fire extinguisher. You're the fire lady.
It's rarely that. I just want to call and tell you thank you. I just love
right.
But that's what I'm there for. There's a lot of people, representatives that work for home warranty companies that do not give their cell phones out. They're not, or don't give that service out. And I do.
Sure.
I absolutely want to help, and I want to be that person that they can call. And the reason why is because I gave you, I had a realtor call me, and it was 2 weeks, and they had not heard from the technician. And I think that's the biggest issue that we have, is we have no control over the people that work for us.
That's true.
Wish we did.
That's true.
And I wish they were all as good as some of them. But if we don't have continued communication with them, or as much as we would like, there's a breakdown of it. And sometimes they drop the ball. They're humans.
This is an important part. I blame my first... my first home warranty company, I probably owe them an apology. I was so upset. Again, it's expectations. Sure. You send somebody to me, I'm connecting them to you. So we had they did a good job. The people that we had come out, we had an AC go out first. Actually, it was a plumbing issue first, which I found out wear and tear. Then we had an AC fan issue that was replaced. But then we had another plumbing issue. I woke up, the toilet had been running all night, and I woke up in the morning, and my wife, Mike, there's water all in the hallway. So I'm jumping out of my sleep, and I'm running in there, splish splashing everywhere, and I'm able to get it all up with like a wet draft vacuum. I said, well, let me call the home warranty. Plumbing is covered.
Absolutely.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Well, the guy comes out, and he's a jerk.
Yeah.
He's a jerk from the very moment he steps off. I don't know if he's having a bad day or what. Excuse me. So he comes in, and I'm walking him through the house like, yeah, man, I've got this issue, got this. The toilet ran. Is there a way that you can, unstop everything, see if we can get it going? He said, well, let me go out here and see if you have a clean out. Now, I didn't know that the technicians are not allowed to go up on the roof because, of course, I've seen some where the plumbers will go through the roof in order to snake the drains out to, clear up any. Well, he said, well, if you don't have a clean out, I can't go up there. And I didn't know what a clean out was at the time. Yeah. Where I grew up, I tell you the rule, there's no clean out. It's just, the plumbing system. I don't even want to know what the plumbing system was out there.
I did too. I lived in the country too, so I get you on that.
I don't know, and I don't want to know. That's how about that. Yeah. So I was like, man, I've never heard of a clean out. I don't know. I look in the grass, so it's the summertime, and I can see a green patch in my yard. Okay, so I can see a green patch. Everything else is brown. It was super dry. When he goes out, he says, well, I can't find the clean out. Maybe it's close to the house. He takes a screwdriver. He pokes around a little bit. And he had called. He said, well, I called the home warranty company. They said it can't go on the roof. If we can't find a clean out, unfortunately, I can't do anything for you. Yeah. And this is only in the span of a few minutes. So he goes out there, like I say, he jabs around with his screwdriver right close to the house. And I said, I wonder if it's right over here where the green patch is, and he supposedly couldn't find it. He goes in the house, and I continue outside looking. He comes back out. He says, hey, man, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. And he drives off. I pay him the service fee, and he drives off. I go back in the house. My floor is flooded again.
Oh, no.
So he had gone in and started flushing the toilet, and I was like, why would you even do that? Yeah. I told you that I have an issue.
Right.
And so I called him. I said, hey, man, you flooded my bathroom. Can you come back?
Yeah.
And I know you can't do the cleaning. Could you at least come back and clean this mess up that you made?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't here when you pulled up.
Right.
It wasn't here when I walked outside. When I come back inside after I've been, you were the only one in there.
Right.
This has happened.
Absolutely.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. Not only that, but I walk outside and I spend 2 minutes in the green patch. And I found the clean out.
No.
And he wouldn't come back.
Oh, he wouldn't come back?
And he wouldn't come back. So, actually, no, I didn't pay because that's how my coverage ended up ending. Because I blamed the home warranty and said, hey, you sent this person out here. Yeah. I've got everything that I need, and they're not doing the service. I'm not going to pay you a service fee.
Right.
You know, so my expectation was and they said, well, that doesn't really have anything to do with our side. Yeah. You pay the service charge either way. We're gonna have to drop the coverage. And now I was angry in the moment. Right. Looking back though, I understand. You know that it wasn't their fault. It was it was his fault. Unfortunately, technicians.
Yeah, I know it, and our we're as good as our technicians. Unfortunately, some we have really good ones, and some we don't. Yeah. But we like to hear those complaints because I want to, because we'll file a complaint and we'll get rid of them and find somebody else. Sure. And we're always asking in our areas, if you know someone that would like to come work for us, we would love their contact information. Because. I get a call, and it was a plumbing situation, and it had been 2 weeks. And the thing about it is, the homeowner waited 2 weeks to call the realtor. Oh, no. And the realtor calls me. And we had sent somebody out, but she hadn't heard any from anybody. I know it. Who could go without plumbing for 2 weeks? I'm not sure that's even possible.
They must be country too. In the country people, we can do with that.
But at that time, she was so angry, which I completely understand. Sure. So I tell everyone, especially my realtors, tell your homeowners, share my information with them. Right. We should have somebody out within 48 hours. Right. If it's an emergency situation, we should get somebody out 24 hours. Right. Now, if it's Friday night at 10 o'clock and you get home and it's a weekend, we're going to try to do everything we can to get a technician out. If it's Christmas Day, if it's ice on, there's some things we cannot do, but we're going to do everything we can. Don't wait 2 weeks. Sure. If it's 48 hours and you haven't heard back from somebody and you haven't heard back from me, you call me, because usually within a day, I can get something done. Sure. I can contact them, let's see what's happening, and get the ball rolling again. Because usually what it is we are waiting on the report from the technician telling us what's wrong with it. Right. So we can order it, or we can approve it, or we can figure out what to do. And that's usually what it is. Or they think that they've turned it in. Right. Right. And that's usually what it is.
You mentioned emergency situation. What's an emergency situation that people can expect?
24-hour service.
24 hour service.
And we have 24 hours. So when you place a claim, now our 800 numbers are answered the California time. So if it's 7 o'clock, and then it won't be. But the quick claim button on our website is so easy. You hit the quick claim, you put the information in. That's been a dream for me. You pay your $85, and it immediately goes to the service department, and immediately goes to a technician. Gotcha. So if and it says, is this an emergency situation? An emergency situation would be hot water heater flooding the house. Gotcha. Would be 103 degrees and no AC. I get those calls a lot.
Please come save me.
Yes, I know. And the way
that's definitely
it is in Texas. Oh my gosh, it is. And that's when it's going to happen, because they're running full blast, and they can't handle it. So what we look at is it is an emergency situation. When I get that phone call, the first thing I ask them is this your only AC unit? If that's your one and only AC unit, if you have one upstairs that is working and cool, then we don't consider that, and no home warranty does, an emergency, because you can go to an area
and find relief. Yep.
Yes, but if it is your only one, contact me, because I can allow reimbursement up to $250 for a window unit. And a lot of my property,
really?
Yes, absolutely. If that is your only, absolutely, 100%. And a lot of people don't know that.
I had no idea.
Tell your clients that, of course, it has to be, if we come out there and we say it's going to be a week. Right. Now, if we're going to get it done in 3 days, I can't do that. But if it's a part that can't come in for 10 days and we have no control,
because a lot of things do end up on back order and things like that.
It is. And that's the biggest issue right now that we have. I can say, go get a window unit, send me the paid receipt, and I'll reimburse you up to $250.
So all of the logistical issues that we were having, it was affecting your industry as well, as far as like shipping and all that. That was affecting your industry as well. Still is.
Yep, still is. Yeah.
I know for our oven, it ended up being like a 3 week or 4 week repair.
Yes.
Because the part just took too long to come in.
Absolutely. And it depends on, who it is. I mean, if it's like Samsung or, an older model or something hard to get.
And ours is the older model.
Yeah, they're hard to get. They really are. Because, before 2020, electricians and HVAC companies were stocking these. They stopped doing that.
Of course.
Because of cost.
Sure.
So now
makes sense.
they have home warranties to most of the time we order it. Well, when we order, we obviously don't pay retail for anything because we get it at a cheaper price.
Sure.
But still, and sometimes, for instance, if you get a email back from us or a call back from us in the service department and they say it's going to be 3 weeks, what we're going to do is immediately offer you a cash in lieu. What that is, it's a figure that what it's going to cost us for labor and the parts or replacement that we can't get. We'll send you that check, and if you want to do that, you can find your own person and find it.
Right.
And usually, sometimes you can call somebody around town. They have one. They can do it. Now it's going to be more because you're going to pay retail.
Right.
But still, you can get it done, and you're going to get that check from us. But sometimes you still can't get it. So it just depends. But we offer you that immediately if it's going to be a while. And then the AC window units.
What are some other? Are there any other little known things? Things that aren't talked about enough with home warranties?
Absolutely. So for cash out services is what we call it. Now, a lot of times if you're in a really rural area,
and we have those
really rural area.
Yeah, I grew up in East Texas.
Reno,
think that I'm not. See, I've never been to Reno.
700 people there, I think. Yeah.
I keep thinking that I know a lot about East Texas, and then I'll have somebody buy a house like at Leesburg. I went to Leesburg, and I was like, where am I?
Yeah, I know.
I'm sending my location to my wife, like, hey, if something happens to me, start here.
Yeah, because nobody knows where it is, and who moves here,
Yeah, only one car drives by a day. If something happens to me, I'm a goner. But what were you saying about rural areas?
But rural areas, let's say, for instance, and I got a call not too long ago, and it was a guy, I think it actually was in Linden. I think we just talked about that. Yeah, Linden. And that's considered a really rural area.
It is.
And so it was his, it was a plumbing issue. And it was plumbing for the water heater. And there was a part that we weren't going to be able to get in, and then the technician wasn't going to be able to come out. And he was like 3 weeks before he could come out because we were having to pull him from, I think, Clarksville or Sulphur Springs. Because in that area we just didn't have anybody.
Sure.
So what we offer is cash out services. And some people like it, some people don't. But what it is, if we can't get somebody out within 48 hours in a timely manner, then we're going to offer you cash out services. Whereas you find your own person, they give a diagnosis, and most of the time if they've been in the business long enough, they've worked with home warranty companies under the same circumstance.
Right.
They give a diagnosis, they write out, they itemize them out, labor, cost, and everything. They send it to us, we approve it, and the homeowner will pay them, and we reimburse them.
Okay.
So that's kind of, and then some like, oh, I love that because I can get it done, and I know this guy, and I worked for them. And then some say, are not doing your job. Well, it's like, and I told the guy in Linden, I said, look, it's up to you. You can wait 3 weeks and have our guy do it.
Sure.
Or you can call your guy.
Sure.
It's completely up to you. Well, why should I pay him? I said, well, by law, we can't reimburse you until you show that the work has been done.
Right.
But you will get reimbursed. And it's completely up to you. You don't have to take out the cash services, but why would you wait 3 weeks?
I could not do it.
Yeah.
I would just find somebody.
Yeah.
My people wouldn't let me. I can do it because I'm country. I can last, but
your mom would say no. And most people, and you shouldn't. That's why we offer the cash out service.
You shouldn't. That's right.
And some people like it, and some people don't. I mean, it's up to you. And then some people find that they can't find anybody either. I think in the really rural areas for pool, for companies as far as going out and fixing, that's probably the biggest issue.
Yeah,
that's where we have to pull from, like Longview or Sulphur Springs, Texarkana, places like that to go in the really rural areas.
Sure.
And they're really busy during the summertime, and that's when things break. And so that's usually probably the hardest thing is probably that.
Sure.
You know? But again, in the rural areas, we service those. And if we have somebody we can send out, great. If not, you may get the cash out services. We apologize for that, but it is an option.
But
we want to make sure you have that option.
Sure. Anything else that you feel like people should get clarity on when it comes to home warranties? Is there anything else that you got?
There's a process.
It's a process.
It's a process, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's not. You're not going to be able to get the phone book and call somebody and have it fixed that day.
Sure.
Now, under us, and I just speak for us. I don't know about other home warranties, but under us, our technicians are approved up to a certain amount. If they can go out on that one trip and they can fix it,
mm-hmm.
then they're allowed to fix it,
gotcha.
And they can bill us. But it is a process. You're going to pay the service fee of $85, and we're going to send somebody out within 48 hours. If we can't, then we offer the COS, but we offer that. And then he turns in the report, and we say this is what is going to be, repaired or replaced. And you may have some out-of-pocket expense that we have to get approved before we can approve the whole deal.
Right.
We call you and say, you've got $250 that's going to cost you that it's not covered. You say, okay, I approve that, and we go forward. And then we send that back to the technician, and then he makes an appointment with the homeowner to come out and replace or repair. Gotcha. And if we have to order it, it has to be ordered and come in.
Gotcha.
So it is a process. But it's designed to save you so much money. And just like the guy in Linden, I was talking to him, and he said, it was, you have a cap and you're only offering $1,800 on this situation. And he said, I'm having to pay, I think $2,300 or $2,400 on it. And then he said, but you know what? If I didn't have it, look how much money it would come out of my pocket.
Yep.
And I said, yes. And he said, so I really don't mind the wait and all that, because it would have been a hardship for me to pay that.
That's true.
And that's what it is. It is, as you said, for new homeowners or any homeowner, if you purchase, that's the largest expense usually that you're ever going to make.
It is.
And you dump a lot of money into it. And it's when you move in, and for that first year, that's when things go wrong with things.
Sure.
And it's good to have that backup.
Sure.
It really is.
Give you a chance to brag on Fidelity a little bit. You talked about, excuse me, some of the ways like the no cap on your HVAC. What are some other things that you feel like stands? You talked about also too the Fidelity, the umbrella that it's under, the Fortune 500 company. Is there anything else that you feel like sets Fidelity apart from other competitors? Yes,
I think because I've worked with for so long, because I've been in the industry, not the title industry. I still worked with home warranties, and I heard everything. So our comparison, our coverages are the best in the industry. Our caps are the highest in the industry. Our customer service.
And by caps, let's break that down a little bit. What do you mean when you're saying caps? Okay,
so our caps, for instance, if your dishwasher goes out, or your stove goes out, or if you have washer and dryer or kitchen refrigerator coverage, we have $5,000 for that year on each appliance.
Okay.
To replace
$5,000 for each appliance.
$5,000 for each. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's great.
That is great,
because some have $2,000, some have $1,500, some $1,800.
And you would be surprised how quickly $2,000 goes.
Absolutely. A new refrigerator,
especially on the newer ones.
5 years ago, you could buy a good one for $1,800. Now you
Not
can't.
anymore.
You can't.
I don't even, when I go in the home improvement stores, I don't even go down.
No.
Because I don't want to know.
It's just inflation. It's just everything is gone.
That's exactly right.
So our coverages and our caps, it's $5,000 for, and that's on your dishwasher, that's on your disposal. Our caps, on septic, I think it's like $1,000. Our caps are the highest in the industry, and that's something to really look at. Some of the coverages, because you know that whatever it ends there, that's the out-of-pocket expense that you're going to have to pay, that homeowner's going to have to pay the difference. So, and then again, HVAC systems, there's no cap. Gotcha. Fidelity has an incredible customer service. We really do. And they continue to spend money in that department because that's probably the biggest complaint. Because you're going to call in as a homeowner, and you may have to wait on the phone, it may be 10, 15, 20 minutes. And it's just because it's a big company.
Sure. And you're selling all over the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but we have the best customer service, and we're always rolling out different things to do. Like we just rolled out something, because one of the things I think the biggest thing is when a homeowner moves in, they forget they have it. You know, they completely forget they have it, and they'll, you know, if something breaks them, they'll fix it, and then they run into you at Target and they'll say, "Hey man, I had a call," and you said, "You had a home warranty, man. Why didn't you call me?" They go, "A what?"
I just had this conversation the other day.
It happens all the time.
And coming out of Walmart too. That's what, when you said that, I just remember that. Somebody I sold a house at the end of last year. I said, "Hey, how's everything been going in the house?" You know, I always, you know, like to check and ask.
Sure.
She said, "Yeah, I just had to repair this." And I said, why didn't you call me? You know, because I encourage people, if you have issues at the home and I sold it to you, call me.
Right.
Because I may not have the answer.
But you can find it.
I can probably find the answer.
And me too. That's right. But they like, oh, I know this guy.
I don't want to mess. And then I don't want to bother you. You know.
And that's it, always like that. So one of the things is when you order a home warranty, put in the buyer's email address, because when we receive payment from title or whoever's paying for it, then our customer service department sends an email out to that buyer. It copies you on it and copies me on it. It says, "Welcome to Fidelity. Here is your coverage.
Right.
Here are the numbers. Here is your rep. Thank you for being a part of that." And when they see that, they go, "Oh, okay." Because the craziness, you know, they are past that. Because it's usually 2 or 3 weeks by the time we get the check from title.
Sure.
And so then they're like, okay, and they understand. So I'm so glad we're doing that now. And that's why, and it's so important to get that. If we don't have their information, then we can't send them anything.
Right.
So, but I think that's, they either don't understand it or they don't know what it is. They'll call me and they say, my realtor told me I had my insurance with you. And I said,
no, they didn't.
Well,
no.
Tell me
maybe
what
they
you
did.
Need, what you need, and I'll figure it. Is it really home warranty or is it, you know, that? So
speaking of which, how can, you know, from me to you as an agent to sales executive, how can I make your job easier? How can we as agents help you in your business?
Give them a brochure. Make sure they've got a brochure. Because it does have the limitations. Encourage them. You know, we have digital brochures. I can send it to you.
Yep.
You know, encourage them to read them and to get familiar with them, because it is part of the buying process.
Sure.
And it's, you know, it's just as important as a home inspection. Look through there and see, because you don't want the surprises that, oh, it's not covered, oh, it is covered.
Right.
Now, if they have any questions, say, please reach out to that rep. You have a local rep that's there to help you, and she's there to answer questions. And or if when you're talking to a homeowner, you know, more of realtors now that I'm getting are doing this, which I like. They're taking them out of the equation, and they're saying, here's your rep.
Go ahead and
speak. 2 weeks before closing.
That is a really good idea.
Contact them. Design the coverage that you need for your property.
That is actually a really good, something that I'll have to implement. And I try to do that as much as possible, because, you know, I do want to be a hub of information for my people. But then also too, like, so when we start the home buying process, I always say, hey, part of the calendar that I draw for my people once they get in the contract, I've always got a week. Contact your lender. Yeah. Have the conversation with them. Build more of a rapport, because this is going to be a lasting relationship. And I guess that's something I should start considering doing as well, to say, hey, if you see one, one of my 3 home warranties, it's one that you like on paper, call them.
Absolutely.
You know,
or compare.
Compare.
You know,
let's talk.
Reach out to them, because a lot of them do that. This is my preferred.
Sure.
But you reach out to these 3 and you know, ask the questions, you know, what is your coverages? What is that? And it gets them involved, and they design it. And two, if that other local rep doesn't respond to them, then they're not going to get a response when they need them. So they know that up front, that maybe I don't want to go with them because I'm not getting that response. So it takes you out of that equation, that you've given them the material that they can design it. And a lot of them, you know, you may not realize that that they're going to bring their kitchen refrigerator, that they are not buying a new one, because sometimes, and those are the questions that we're going to ask, that I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Let's design it. Tell me what your appliances are. Tell me what you're needing. Tell me the most important thing you're looking for in a home warranty. And just take you out of that and get it with us. And that way that they know so much more about it and they already have that relationship.
They're not getting bad information from me
Not
either.
bad, but
I only know so much about home warranties.
Yeah. Well,
so to be able to put them in.
Absolutely. The thing about it is, it's you're building a team.
Sure.
And you have a team, and you have a team that is your home inspections, your home warranties, your lenders, and all of those, and you're going to introduce them to them. It's kind of the same thing. They're going to reach out to them. They should also reach out to the.
And I am, especially in this business, for one, because some things are required, but even some people, think that it's a bad idea. But I even, when I'm talking to somebody that's a potential buyer, go interview another realtor. See if for one, because this process should be enjoyable for you.
Absolutely.
Buying a home should be enjoyable for you. You should go into moving all your things in with some giddiness and with some excitement. And I really only like to suggest people that will pitch themselves.
Right.
If I've got to do all the pitching for you, I should be able to call Beth. Let her explain how great she is. Yeah, I'll verify it and say, yes, she does a wonderful job. She fights for her people. She's a fire extinguisher if you if you have a problem. But the fact that I can say, hey, for one, her information is available.
Yeah.
A lot of reps don't want their information available. You can call her, talk to her, let you help the buyer feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Build that reputation. And the thing about it is, once we have that relationship with them, they'll call me and ask questions.
Sure.
And they know I'm that contact person. And it takes you out of that. And also too, like with seller's coverage, one of the things you can offer if you do seller's coverage, it's proven, it's shown, the statistics show that if you put in MLS that seller is offering a home warranty for the buyer, it sells quicker.
Sure.
Because
that's assurance.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Yeah,
because more buyers are looking at that
Sure.
because they didn't get it, and now they want that. And if it shows that in MLS that they are offering that, then you're going to get a call for that. So
it
it's
makes you
also
feel better about the house that you're purchasing.
Yeah, and
not insurance, y'all.
No,
not insurance. Assurance.
Right,
like, hey,
right.
I've got some quality house I'm be purchasing, or people that are looking out for me. The seller's not trying to get over on me. All those things help for sellers. If you're considering selling your house and this is advice you want to take, it's great for you because the likelihood, what I found is that people spend money when they feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If I can help my people the new buyer feel more comfortable, the more likely they're going to spend money.
Yeah. Sure.
A little bit, we as we come to a close on our time. Of course, you start off in the title industry, title portion of our real estate industry, and now you're doing TREC classes.
Yeah.
Well, let me stop. Was there anything else that you wanted to add about home warranties? Is there anything you feel like I'm missing?
I think of just be very careful.
Sure.
Get familiar with them. Make sure you have a local rep. Make sure you're getting the best coverage for your property. Make sure that home warranty that you choose has services that area. Some that they may pass out brochures in every office, but in a lot of the rural areas, they don't even service that area. And you don't want that call saying, I bought a home warranty and they don't even service my area. So,
how can somebody find out if that coverage, is that posted?
Under there, it should be under there. I don't know about other warranty as far as other home warranties.
As far as like Fidelity, how could you find out if you're?
You can go to our home warranty website and put in their zip code.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know if all do, but I know we do. Now I can't think of an area in East Texas that we don't. I pretty much have all of it, But when you order one and you put the zip in, if we don't service it, we won't take the order.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if other companies do that.
Sure.
But I have gotten those calls and them say, what do I do? And I was like, I would cancel it and find one that does, because you're just, they'll give you a refund maybe and just purchase one that does.
Sure.
Because coverage is so important.
It is.
And having that relationship and with, during the process and making sure that title has collected it at closing and they're taking care of it.
To make sure it's on that HUD.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But I was going to ask you about your, you do a lot of CE classes.
I do. Been writing and teaching CE for, I guess, about 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I write all the classes I teach.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I really enjoy that. That's, I learned that in this area, in the Dallas-Fort area when I was there as far as in title, and there was, of course there were competitors. There's 25 title companies around the corner from each other. It's very competitive. We were all friends up there. Yeah. Everybody did a lot of education. So I was in escrow, so I didn't do a lot of teaching or anything. But when I moved to East Texas, trying to figure out what I can do different that nobody does here, and nobody was really teaching CE classes. Now, some underwriters would come in and do that, and at first I would do that, because I prefer some of my classes. I don't teach them all, like Legal 1, Legal 2, anything like that I don't teach. But I teach most of my classes is from perspective as far as the title.
Sure.
And I help realtors understand, that's not your world, but it's part of your business.
Yeah, it is.
And you need to be educated and learn about it.
I was extremely grateful for the class you put here for the title commitments. Yeah. I just was not, I knew, I had a vague understanding, let me say it like that. Sure. But just to be able to clarify, after being taught was super important. I think that what hit me probably the most was when you are, oh man, this is about to leave my memory now. I'll look it up and I'll ask it in just a second. Yeah. It's about after your title commitment on the check, the seller pays for the where you designate who's paying for the.
Oh, on the contract.
Yes, on the contract.
For the okay.
For the who's paying for the commitment. Coverage. Yes, that's what it is. The additional survey coverage.
Yes.
I did not know, for one, that the title is covering that policy is covering up until the day. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're covering up until the day of closing. The additional coverage is covering after closing. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. So your owners, for the owner's coverage.
For the owner's coverage, for the policy.
The owner's coverage starts the day they close to the past. Okay. So what it is they're issued an owner's policy saying that basically you have it free and clear of liens.
Sure.
Anything like the only liens on it, maybe your mortgage. Everything else is free and clear. There's no errors or anything like that. You have an insurance policy saying that. If a seller's error comes back and says, wait a minute, I've got an interest, you're covered under that policy.
Gotcha.
But nothing covers you from the day you close to the future of that. Anything you do after that. Well, the additional survey coverage started, I think, about 6 years ago. And that covers you from the day you close to the future. And there are things that are unseen or unknown at closing. Things are on Schedule B that tell you this all affects the property, but it's not insured. You're not covered. But things that maybe a survey company missed or a title company missed, restrictions and things like that. It's really important. And when I teach that, I teach that, and I can tell that people are like, I've always checked no because I didn't know what it meant.
Exactly.
And now when you realize what it is, of course, it is usually paid by the buyer, so it's an additional cost. It's a minimum cost.
Sure.
But it is an additional cost.
It is.
But it's good to have that conversation with them about that because it can, really protect. And, as far as I've probably taught that the last 6 years and really how important it is. And, I haven't had like 100 agents say, oh my God, it's helped me, but I've had at least 10 say, I'm so glad I did that because we did have something saying that the neighbors' survey showed that the new driveway was actually 3 feet in theirs.
Oh, really?
But the new homeowner, their survey showed it wasn't. And it ended up going to court and it showed that the seller's survey was correct. But they had that protection, and so that title underwriter took care of the legal fees and things like that.
And things happen all the time. I mean,
all the time. People make mistakes.
This and some things I don't know if anybody would be aware to catch the mistake.
Right. It only happens, for instance, that seller was selling their property and got a new survey, and the new survey showed that was on there, and if they hadn't have, then that was it. So that's usually what happens, what occurs, that something happens, or they resell it.
Sure.
And then they can't find their survey, and there's a new survey.
As far as anything else, when you're, title commitment wise or the title, what are some other things you feel like are missed by agents that are very important?
Definitely who is vested in title. Usually when you get a title commitment as far as a realtor, they look at Schedule C. The Schedule C says, are we going to close? We're going to close on time. This is because the underwriter says, in order for me to issue insurance, you're going to have to take care of all this. Schedule A says, these are the premiums, these are the policies that we're going to issue, and this is who's entitled, and this is what the legal description is. Schedule B says, we're taking exception to all of this stuff. It takes whatever you're getting is going to affect the property. You're not going to get insurance.
Right.
But I think Schedule A is so important too, because Schedule A shows who's vested.
Sure.
And if you have a contract, and I think I talk about this, that if Sue and Bob Jones are entitled on the contract, and you've only got Bob Jones on the commitment, who's Sue, or vice versa.
Right.
It throws red flags. A lot of realtors may not look at that, and if you can catch the red flags way ahead of time, you may close on time.
Sure.
If you don't and you wait, then it's going to postpone closing,
sure.
and you don't want that to happen.
Gotcha.
So it's so important to look at that. It's part of the process. And look at it before you send it to your clients too.
Okay.
Because you don't want anything on there wrong.
Right.
And then it goes, because, if you had something where the buyer's name was misspelled or something like that, they're going to, if you don't catch it, they're going to go, wait a minute. Or the legal description could be wrong. If you don't catch it, it's going to be wrong going forward on everything, and you're going to close on the wrong property. And it's happened.
Oh, no.
But catch it up front.
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
It happened. It can be fixed, but you don't want that call.
I do not want that call.
No, you don't.
And I don't want you to, because you, people pay you for this service, I imagine, for these classes. I don't want you to go too deep into all. I don't want to put it all up here and be on YouTube and podcast for free. I want you to make money out here as well. But are there any other little things you would like to encourage agents on, or even potential buyers, sellers on the title side that you feel like they should pay attention to?
Absolutely. Read those commitments. And number two is,
I know it's hard, but read those commitments.
It is. And if you don't understand it, as a realtor, don't try to explain it. Because you're giving legal advice and you don't want to do that.
Right.
Tell them.
That's important.
That's
important.
You
can get an understanding, but don't try to explain something that you don't. Yeah.
If they don't understand it, that's title company.
Got you. Stay in your lane.
Yes. And it's so important. Unless you know 100% what it is.
Sure. Yeah.
Like if it's, they look on there, if it's a buyer and they're looking, well, what's this lien on the property? Well, that's the seller's mortgage and we're going to
Right.
That's easy. But what is this easement from husband and wife? You're going to need to call the title company, and you're going to need a copy of it.
Yeah.
Because that affects your property, and you're going to need a copy of it. Also, too, restrictions. There's a lot of buyers that'll move into an area, and they'll get a title commitment, and there are restrictions, but they don't read them.
Sure.
It's so important to read them because, I've heard of nightmares that buyers move in there and they didn't realize they couldn't put that chicken coop in the backyard,
I've had an issue too. Somebody that I was pretty close to, they bought a house and then they added concrete driveway. They extended their driveway.
They couldn't do it.
Oh, and it was a bad situation.
Yeah.
It was a bad situation. And I was like, okay, this is a learning experience for me.
Sure.
Say, hey, this is something that you need to pay attention to.
Absolutely. Read them. And, when you email them you can give them to the title company. Ask the title company, please send me restrictions. And if you're helping a buyer, looking in an area before you write that offer. Get those restrictions.
That's interesting.
Get those restrictions. Call your title company that you work with. Say, hey, we're looking in this area. Number one, does it have restrictions? And number two, email them to me. And then send them to your buyer and say, read these. If there's anything in here that you want to do to your property that you can't do, then there's no use in making an offer.
Yeah.
You know,
because you're restricted from doing it.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's do something else. You know, because you're just saving everybody time.
Right.
Don't wait till you get those restrictions.
Right.
And don't wait till you get that title commitment. And or HOA. You know, if there's an HOA, I don't know how much it is. You know, there's a lot of people, when I moved to the, East Texas, there's no HOAs. There is a ton.
Oh, yes.
There is so many HOAs. So don't, because it's rural, don't think you don't have restrictions or HOAs.
Exactly.
You do.
Exactly.
These new subdivisions that are going in, they have a lot of restrictions.
That's exactly
and they
right.
could be in very rural areas, but they still have, those. So, get them. It's part of, educating your clients to make sure that is the property that's fit for them way before you write an offer.
Gotcha. Susan, I've enjoyed our time. Is there anything else that you would like to put out? Anything else you'd like to cover?
I just appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, reach out to me.
How can they reach out to you? What's the best way to contact you?
Contact me, my cell number.
Got you.
All right. Or my email address. And it's on every brochure. You can contact me. Sure. You can look me up on Fidelity's website. It's homewarranty.com.
Homewarranty.com. Oh,
no
that's
space,
super easy. Yep.
Homewarranty.com, all one word. And go put your zip code in, and it'll give you your rep's contact information. And if I'm not your rep in the area, we have really good reps in Texas. Or what's your area of coverage? I go all the way up to Texarkana, Rockwall, Rowlett, all the way down to Lufkin.
Oh my gosh!
All over East Texas. I'm out and about.
All of that is considered East Texas?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
Northeast Texas.
That's what I try to tell people. East Texas is humongous.
It is. It is
humongous.
Yeah. And Texarkana is a little different. We don't sell in Arkansas, so they always get that question. Because
let's check the line.
Yeah, because most realtors in that area sell both.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they have license for both.
Okay.
Because
I've always wondered, and I had a friend of mine, hey man, I want to buy a house in Texarkana, which I don't go out there far because I just don't have a good understanding of Texarkana.
Right. Yeah.
And it wouldn't suit me to be 2 hours away. You want to buy a house in a crazy market.
Right.
By the time I get there, the house is going to be gone.
Yes. Absolutely.
But that is interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I go all over, and again, if I'm not the rep, if you're in the Houston area, wherever, again, we have some really, really good reps.
Gotcha.
And that'll reach out to them and contact them. And our website is easy, homewarranty.com.
Homewarranty.com.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for breaking this down, explaining it to us so that we can have proper expectations. Y'all, if you didn't catch all of that, if you're just skipping to the recap here, read through your plan, the brochure up front before you make a selection. You can ask questions. I encourage you to reach out to the reps. Hopefully your agent is giving you, by Trek rules, they're giving you multiple options on your home warranty. But I do think that the best tend to stand out above the rest.
Yes.
So give Beth a chance, call.
Happy to help, happy to answer questions.
Sure.
If it's not what fits for you, at least but it's important of the buying process.
Sure.
And you really need to do that way ahead of time and get it done and then feel comfortable going into it, moving in, that you've got all your ducks in a row and you're ready to move in that new home.
Sure.
And even if you're not going through escrow, you can still get a home warranty.
Yep.
At any time, you can get one for your home. If you live in an older home and your appliances are old and hardship may be replacing those or repairs. If you're limited income, as far as assistant living, not assistant living, but people that are on Social Security or limited incomes, that would be a hardship. Home warranties are a really good idea because it does save a lot of money.
Definitely. And also too, I can vouch that for realtor education, CE classes. I don't know how often you go to. I see your pictures on Facebook. You go in different offices and different things like that. Y'all, I will speak and attest. If you're a broker out there wanting to educate your people, Beth
you.
is a wonderful teacher.
Thank you.
I really
enjoyed it.
appreciated that session. I walked out of there feeling more confident as an agent,
Good.
being more informed about the contract. Contracts are great, but there's a lot of information there.
Absolutely. There's a lot of information. It's a lot of the process.
It is.
You know, and there's a lot that you don't learn in school.
Mm-mm.
And or just
Oh, don't get me started. Please don't get me started.
And they don't, you know, and it's just not part of it.
Sure.
You know, and or if you've been in the real estate for 20 years, you still need, you know, to keep
a refresh because they're changing.
I know. And I teach, you know, I do for real estate, for title, I have several home warranty classes that I teach. I do a home warranty versus homeowners insurance that I do with a guy that sells homeowners insurance.
Okay.
It's good, really good for realtors because it gives scenarios and stuff why you need both.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody that took the time to watch, to listen. I hope you found this not only educational but interesting. If you did find any value out of this, even just a teeny bit of value, please share it with somebody. Like the video, hit subscribe if you're on YouTube or Spotify. It greatly helps the algorithms say, hey, this is information worth other people listening to, hearing, and being a part of as well. We want to build a great community because East Texas is interesting. So thank you all so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.